Please welcome Don Winter, Chair of the National Academy of Engineering.
Good afternoon. I am pleased to welcome all of our members and guests to the NAE's national meeting. As with last year's meeting, we are most pleased to be able to have an in-person meeting as we continue to learn with COVID. It was not too long ago that the COVID pandemic threatened the world as the virus spread seemingly without control. Our ability to transcend that threat was due, in no small part, to the incredibly rapid development, production, and distribution of highly effective vaccines. It should be noted that engineers and engineering processes played a very significant role in that campaign. Today, much of Europe faces a very different threat due to Russia's immoral and brutal invasion of Ukraine. Russia's attack in Ukraine date back to 2014 with their taking of Crimea, violating their own commitments to Ukraine's territorial integrity made 20 years prior. When their latest hostilities with their latest escalation of hostilities, the so-called special military operation of last February was effectively countered by Ukrainian forces, Russia adopted a strategy of terrorism against the civilian population of Ukraine, targeting residential areas and Ukraine's energy infrastructure. The impact of Russia's attacks goes way beyond the borders of Ukraine. Other nations that were formerly part of the Soviet Union, such as Moldova, Georgia, Latvia, and Lithuania, are fearful of Putin's apparent desire to reconstruct a Russian empire. Other European nations, such as Poland, are fearful of being on the front line, as they were in 1939. Somewhat unexpectedly, at least to Putin, the European nations have rallied in support of Ukraine, providing both humanitarian and military aid and participating in sanctions against Russia. Now, Putin has responded by cutting off gas supplies to those nations. The potential of a cold winter without the ability to heat homes and fuel industry has been particularly threatening to Germany, which has become dependent on Russian gas. Fortunately, Germany's industry rose to the challenge. In less than a year, an LNG terminal was designed, built, and put into operation at Wilhelmshaven in Germany. This in a country known more typically for infrastructure developments that take multiple decades. I will just note the new Berlin airport that opened in 2020, just 9 years after originally scheduled, and a new railway station in Stuttgart scheduled to open in 2025 after 15 years of construction. Now, an old saying going back to Plato is that necessity is the mother of invention. Arguably, both the development of COVID vaccines and the construction of the Wilhelmshaven LNG terminal are examples of such behavior. In both cases, old technologies and processes were successfully challenged to meet critical needs without compromising the integrity of the final products. If only such behavior could be expanded to address other challenges. Europe's energy infrastructure will need further development to ensure the availability of sources of supply, and Ukraine's infrastructure will need to be rebuilt. to house the residents and support the redevelopment of the country. And globally, the development of a resilient energy infrastructure that is both friendly to the planet and its inhabitants awaits. These are some of the challenges for the future. Challenges perhaps for many of the young prospective engineers in the audience here today. To you, I say, take on these challenges. Study hard and learn your craft. But then, be bold and be willing to innovate. Do not let the challenges evident today become the crises of tomorrow. The world of the future will be what you make it.